Okay, let me just move this a little bit. Hello, my name is Oliver. I do like a weekly, maybe every 2 weeks, I talk to a camera and I go through everything that's been in my head recently. Well, not everything, but a lot of thoughts, a lot of actions that I've done, lots of consequences of the actions, and I often have a topic in mind, and I do kind of this week, but I also want to work on being a bit more free-flowing, being a bit more open. I'm going to start with the topic that I've already had planned, and then I'm going to kind of move into just some general stuff that has been happening this week, and I don't know what I'm going to say yet. I haven't thought about it really. I haven't made a list like I normally do about what I want to talk about, but I'm going to just let everything flow, speak freely, and see what happens. Okay, so my first topic, my dad I love my dad. I fucking heavily admire my dad. I want to be like him one day. You know, he's like the greatest role model I could ever ask for in my life. And one thing that he always said to me when I was younger that I never really properly processed, I think, was try and listen to people, don't just hear what they're saying. So I often find that when I'm talking to people, I feel like they're having to listen. No, they're hearing me because it's an obligation. For example, when you're talking to someone, they're not just gonna start talking over you out of nowhere. Generally, people are polite, people are nice, people are people have manners, I find, even if a lot of people don't believe that. But a lot of the time, I feel like I'm talking to someone who isn't really properly taking in what I'm saying. This doesn't go for my closest friends or anyone really close to me in my life. I all feel like they listen to me properly, but often when I'm meeting new people, I get like a kinesthetic sense of them just listening to me out of obligation. And I find that I've been doing that almost my whole life, and it's really hitting me that I have to, well, again, not to the people that I've really liked or I found really close to me, but a lot of people who I met, I found myself emulating how they acted to me. I found that to be a really big flaw in my character. So over the last few days, I've been trying to really take in what people are saying, you know, properly listen, pause a moment, consider their viewpoint, consider their opinion, consider what they're properly saying, not just listening to make a response. And I often find that people are very, I found over the last few days that people have been very surprised when I do. For example, I went bouldering today with my friend called Albie, and he was talking to me about how his parents' relationship was with him and how it had improved since he moved out, because he's had a very rocky relationship with his family. And when he was talking to me, I kind of took a moment to pause and really consider what he was saying. And you could kind of see in his pupils, in his retinas, in his I'm not sure what the correct euphemism is for like the coloured area of your eyes. I don't think that's your retinas or your pupils. But I kind of saw there was surprise in his eyes when people don't immediately respond with like a closed message or saying like, oh, okay, or oh, cool. When people genuinely listen to you, it is an amazing feeling. I have a friend called Josh as well. He's been my best friend for God knows how many years. And yeah, if there was one person on this planet apart from my parents who fate of the world is on the line, if there was one person who I could put my trust into for any subject, it would straight away be Josh. Like, he is the best friend I could ever ask for, and he's amazing. Even if he can be he has got his flaws. He can be late, he can be non-committal, but I trust him. I trust him fully, and that's quite a rare thing for me. It used to be where I would trust people too easily when I was, probably from I was really young up until I was about 15 or 16. I would say until I was 16, I found that my trust issues weren't from a lack of trust, but overly trusting, almost upon meeting someone, or trusting people who I shouldn't have, which has backfired on me in the past a few times. Anyway, trusting over. What was I saying about Josh? I think the reason why I feel so close to him and why I really, really heavily admire him is just the way he listens and he processes information. He's not he's one of those more caring friends who's really there for you in a moment of need. I've got loads of other friends who are just really fun to have a laugh with, and do stupid stuff, play games, play sports, and just I have a great time with them. But if I want a friend who's a little bit more understanding and a bit more sensitive with an issue I'm having maybe, or if I just want to say something and have it considered, I go to Josh. And I find it really makes a difference when you're talking to somebody who is going to process the information that you give them, really consider it, really analyze it, really use their own emotion to relate to it and make a response predicated on all of that. And I've been trying to do that the last few days, and I've noticed a difference in myself. I've noticed a difference in other people's reactions towards me. I've had people be a lot more open with me when you just take 2 or 3 seconds after they're done talking and just think about what they said and respond. And I find it makes you feel good. Not a superficial good, not an extrinsic, superfluous sense of dopamine or anything. It just makes you genuinely satisfied from the inside. It makes you feel more confident when you realize people can be open with you. Even over the last few days, I wouldn't say I'm not a confident person. I I may not be a very outwardly boisterous or outwardly expressive person to most people, but I feel I've always had a sense of confidence, but it's skyrocketed the last few days massively. Even if I'm not really outwardly showing it, because I'm spending a bit more time listening and a lot less time talking. But it just makes you feel good. Not even doing it for other people, just doing it for yourself. Taking a moment to think about what is going through your head. Think about why you're doing something. For example, I had a gym session yesterday, and I told most people that I talk to on a nightly basis that I was just going to bed, so I could really have a session just to focus on what are my goals, why am I doing this, and it felt really good, and I loved it. Like, even just thinking about it now makes me feel like a warmth is spreading through my body. It makes me feel really good. Okay, I think that's all I want to do. I'll say one final thing. Again, it can make a big difference in yourself and other people. It can make you feel genuinely happy. It can make other people feel genuinely cared for and heard, and they might be having a horrible day, but it can just brighten up their day even a little bit. And if all it takes you is a few moments to make someone feel listened to and heard and appreciated, then why wouldn't you do it? You know, why wouldn't you? There's no reason. Like, there's no downside. The only reason I can think about people not doing it is because they don't understand it, or they simply forget. But once you get it properly engraved into your head, I find it's a really big difference maker in your mood, in other people's mood, in your interactions, in other people's interactions. And yeah. I actually might lead this on into a next bit. Oh, look how he does it. Seamlessly transitioning from one topic to another. Do it for yourself. Like, and I'm not just talking about like listening to other people properly, but try and remember, do things because they make you feel good, not because they make you feel liked by people you don't care about. It's such a simple phrase and it's been beaten into the ground, but I really don't think people follow it enough. You know, I myself haven't followed it a lot. I used to, like, for example, like post pictures of myself shirtless after the gym, you know, like, and just even getting like the likes coming in would just, it would make me feel good for a little bit, but then I would feel very hollow after. I would feel kind of cheap, like just doing that with random people or even good friends. Like, it's just kind of a way of showing others, hey, I'm doing better than you. And that is sometimes a really big motivator for me, but I know it shouldn't be. I know it's a really big thing that I have to sort out, but in a way, I'm happy I get to sort it out because it gives me another thing to work towards. You don't want to be aimless at all. I know I sound clueless, and I feel a bit clueless, truthfully, talking about this at 18 years old, you know, on a gap year, not doing too much right now, waiting to start work next week. but I don't care. Like, I really feel like you always need to have something going on in your life. Like, people that do nothing, and when you ask what do they enjoy doing, what are their hobbies, what are their goals, I've asked people this before and they're just like, I don't know, because they don't know. And in a way, I feel sorry for people who do that. I've been in positions where I felt like that before, but obviously emotions are fleeting, you find purpose, but I really do empathize with people like that. However, it's important to fully outline goals you have and what you're going to do to achieve them. You can mix them in with some fast dopamine hits, like, it's not too serious. You can do it sometimes, but it's all about dopamine pathways. You don't want your mesolimbic pathway, which is basically instant gratification. So, for example, scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, which I am a victim of. The more you do that, your mesolimbic pathway overrides your mesocortical pathway, and makes it so all that's on your mind is short form content, is just easy hits of dopamine. People that take drugs and everything overload their mesolimbic cortex, and sure, it feels like pure God, I mean, I've never taken most drugs, so I don't know what they feel like, but I can just imagine the pure bliss that they must be. But then, like, it's a trade-off, and I don't want to be, if one of my close friends started regularly doing them, or even really on a one-off, I would go. Like, I would go without a second thought. I wouldn't think about them. If they were a victim of something, maybe I'd be a bit more empathetic. But if they were just doing it, if they were like out at, a bar or something, went to the bathroom, just did something like that, which has happened before, not with close friends, but with people I've known, and I just leave. I don't want to be around those people in my life who feel it's okay to mess up their happiness, other people's happiness, spiral into addiction potentially, send themselves into hospital. Like, I don't want to associate with those people. I don't want to destroy my own peace of mind and my own tranquility, in a way, to have to accommodate them. And that's selfish, but I'm perfectly happy being really selfish in that scenario. To be honest, I'm my own biggest priority. And sorry, I've got hiccups. I'm trying not to hiccup. But in that situation, I prioritize myself over everybody else in the world, and I know I wouldn't do well if I had a good friend that regularly did that, because I would probably get enticed, and it would bring up some old stuff that I've had to deal with, or not had to deal with, had to deal with, but that I've dealt with. And yeah, I just don't want to do any of that. Anyway, this has been going on for about 19 minutes. I'm very tired. I'm about to go to bed. Have a good night, have a good morning, have a good day. I'm not sure when anybody is watching this, but I hope you're doing good, and ta-ta.